Well, to discuss further, we're joined by the Acting Deputy Director General at the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Dipepenene Serage. Mr. Serage, thank you for being with us. Is government overjoyed the World Trade Organization stepped in here on our side?
Thank you very much, and I think that's the first thing we need to clarify. This current agreement has not been reached because of intervention of the WTO. This was reached as after we, from the department, started engaging the EU authorities so that they can allow us a temporary arrangement so we can clear the ports. So this, we need to correct it immediately. It's not as a result of WTO process.
So the World Trade Organization is still looking at South Africa's dispute. In the interim, there's a temporary agreement. Is that correct?
Yes, in fact, the dispute process hasn't started as yet, but there are processes that may lead to that direction. But at the moment, I just want to emphasize that it is after our negotiations with the EU authorities, with one of the last meetings we had in this was last week Friday, where we, from the authorities from South Africa, that is the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, engaged our EU counterparts to negotiate the process that has seen us being able to clear the containers that are at the EU ports.
All right, and this is only in place until the end of August. So then does it return to normal, which effectively bars South African citrus from entering the EU?
Not necessarily. This is until the end of the season, and the citrus season, yes, would go run about end of August. We are at the peak now towards the end. So this arrangement will take us through the entire season, after which we will then engage the EU authorities with regard to the new season coming next year, February, March. So there's no, it's not as interim as that, but it's just an arrangement, or we'll call it equivalence. We just found a way of convincing the EU authorities to allow us to clear the containers that would not necessarily have been complying with the EU protocol. So we've cleared that. We are able to, we reached a settlement through our negotiations, yes.
All right, so that's for this season. Then you'll talk about next season. So if the EU and South Africa can sort of come up with a new arrangement, that means the WTO won't even have to get involved in the future.
Correct, yes. The intention for now, at this stage, which I need to emphasize, is for us to find a mechanism and engage and convince the EU authorities that we've got our systems would still be able to ensure that we do not introduce the false coddling moth in the European Union shores. So after this, once we clear the season, we'll then start the whole big process. And I'm not talking legal process, I'm not talking WTO process. We'll start a new process of engaging the EU counterparts. As you know, we are talking 28 member states. So we would have to negotiate with the EU Commission at different times. We may want to also engage different country authorities as we try and find a way of ensuring that come the next season, we are ready.
It was reported over the last few days that tons of oranges, for example, were rotting in containers stuck in EU ports. Exports apparently worth around 650 million. How much fruit has actually been lost because it's just been sitting there? Do we know?
It's not true that fruits would rot. As you know, maybe for those that don't know, fruits are exported in containers, shipping containers that are refrigerated. So the whole time that fruits were not cleared, they were in refrigerated containers. They wouldn't necessarily rot. And what we should be talking about probably would be the cost, which of course the industries and back to the growers have suffered as a result of this delayed release, but not rotting. No, that's not the effect.
Okay, so the loss would be them paying for the fruit to stay on the containers in refrigerated conditions.
longer than they would have, yes. If the fruits would then, the vessel would not be offloaded from the vessels or would be in shipping containers and not cleared, then that would be the financial loss, but not necessarily as a result of any fruit rotting.
And how onerous would that be? I mean, overall, can we say because of this intervention, the season for the citrus growers in South Africa has effectively been saved? Can we say that?
Perfect. Yes, as government, I need to also reiterate, this is government work, and we say thank you to the Director General, Minister, and everybody in government for allowing us an opportunity to engage and negotiate, and they're giving us the opportunity to engage. We've engaged the EU authorities, and we've managed to negotiate and have the system that is allowing us to conclude the season. Yes.
All right, and then finally, just very quickly, educate us. So this is about a moth that people hadn't really heard about, the false coddling moth. They don't want it introduced into the EU. Apparently, to get rid of it, you have to keep the fruit at low temperatures for 25 days. So presumably that's a huge cost in a hot country like ours. What are the alternatives going forward for next season? What can we offer to ensure that this moth doesn't hang around?
Yes, first let's see. False coddling moth is a pest that is an insect of fruits and other agricultural products, but in this specific case, is a pest. We call it a pest of fruits, and scientifically it is shown to be occurring around the sub-Saharan areas and up downwards, not up north. So the current information available is that the European Union does not have this pest occurring naturally in the European countries. So we need to then ensure, and just as the law of agricultural trade says, if a pest is not known to occur on our shores, we call it a quarantine pest. So we make sure that whatever we import does not introduce that pest in our shores, because should that happen, our shores, we may not have what we call natural enemies. So it means if indeed European Union does not have false coddling moth, it means introduction of false coddling moth would be so rampant because any insect would have something that preys on it, which we call that a natural enemy. So in this specific case, it would mean it does not have a natural enemy. So the intention, and our intention, and that of the European Union, is to ensure first that we do not introduce it in the European Union. And we also put rigorous steps to ensure that in the unlikely event of the false coddling moth going through our inspection system, then that's where the cooling happens, the 0 degree Celsius cooling happens. The intention there is to eradicate, if you like, is to make sure that in the event it finds itself among the fruits, it then gets killed, and so that by the time the fruits arrive in Europe, if there is that pest, it will be dead, so it will not be able to reproduce and be introduced in the European Union.
All right, so it's a moth causing all the trouble. Thank you for that explanation. Effectively saying the season has been saved. That was Dipepenene Serage, Acting Deputy Director General at the Agricultural Production, Biosecurity and Natural Resources Management.